Hello, welcome, welcome. We are going to be doing some more linear functions. So if you know anybody that's been struggling with that, please share this live with them. Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you for the double taps. Alrighty. Hi, hearts. Hello. So it says determine if the equation are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So in order to tell if something's parallel, you need them to, so parallel, let's talk about parallel. Parallel means that the lines do not intersect and they have the same slope, okay? Perpendicular means that the lines do intersect, okay? So let's figure this out. So first what I'm going to do is take this first equation and I'm going to put it in slope-intercept form. Okay, so I'm going to put it in y equals mx plus b form. So if I'm going to do that, I have to get rid of a positive 4. I have to bring it to the other side. So I'm going to minus 4x. Welcome in, you guys. And then we're going to drop down our negative 7y. Equals. Now remember, these are not like terms. So since these are not like terms, we just write them right next to each other. So I'm going to write negative 4x plus 10. Okay. And then my last step, if I want y by itself, is to divide by that negative 7. Okay. And the only thing we care about is this slope. Okay. So a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay. We don't care about this, but we care about this. Okay. Minus 10 over 7. So our slope, which is m, is 4 over 7. Now, if they're going to be parallel, we hope that this equation comes out the same. So let's drag this equation over here. 7x plus 4y equals 1. All right, can you guys tell me in the chat, if I want to solve for y, what's the very first step that we have to do? Does anybody know? What do we have to do? Subtract x. Move the x. Excellent. Subtract 7x. I love it, you guys. Yes. Because this is a positive 7, we have to do the opposite. So we're going to minus 7x to this side, okay? Now, you guys kind of see how I'm not putting the 7x under the 1? And I'm doing this for a reason because these are not like terms. So hopefully that helps you when you drop down everything. This helps you realize these, we cannot combine these. So we just write negative 7x plus 1. Okay. Now, our last step always, if we want to get y by itself, divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4. And we get y equals negative 7 over 4x. Ooh, plus 1/4. Alrighty. So our m for this equation is negative 7 over 4. Okay. Are these slopes here parallel? Are they the same? Are they perpendicular slopes or are they neither? Good. Maggie said perpendicular. Yes, they're perpendicular. So let's talk about why they're perpendicular for the people that are lost, okay? Let's talk about why they're perpendicular. In order for them to be perpendicular, one has to be positive, the other one has to be negative. That's one condition, okay? So we have a positive and we have a negative. The other condition is they have to be flips of each other, which is called reciprocals. So if this is 4 sevenths, this has to be 7 over 4. And since it meets both of those conditions, these lines are perpendicular. Okay? So that's why these are perpendicular. One's positive, one's negative, and they're flips of each other. Okay? So let's try number 2. Oh, I'm glad you love math. Oh, thank you, Ayana. Okay, so we're going to take this 3y plus 4x equals 12. Now, again, remember, we're trying to solve this for y. So when you're trying to get this by itself, look at what's with it, okay? And we want to move this positive 4x. So how we move this positive? What's the opposite of positive 4x? We're going to do what? What's the opposite of positive? Good. H said subtract. Good. Negative. Yes. So we're going to subtract 4x. Wonderful. To both sides. And again, I'm not writing this 4x under here because I don't want anybody to get confused. These are not like terms. Okay. So we're going to drop down our 3y. We're going to drop down our equal sign. And then since we can't combine these, we just write them right next to each other.
Can I go back and forth?
And then how do we get y by itself? What's the last step? Yes, good. So Gab, we're going to divide. I see you, Matt. Yes, we're going to divide by what's with the y. So we get y equals negative 4 over 3x plus 4. Okay. But you got to remember, thank you for the soccer ball. Whenever you're trying to do parallel, perpendicular, or neither, you're only looking at the slope, okay? And the slope is always the number that's attached to the x. Thank you so much for the gifts. Thank you for all the follows and the double taps, you guys, and the shares. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. So now let's check out this one right here, okay? So we have this. Let's go to the bottom equation. We have negative 6y. Oh, it's almost done for us. We have the x on the correct side and we have the number. So now what's my last step? How do I get y by itself? Oh, thank you, subscriber Aguilera. Welcome to the family. So I do want to let everybody know, for my subscribers, this Sunday I'm going live just for you guys. Please bring me any questions you have, and we're going to just have a white blank notebook, and I'm going to just be answering your questions, okay? So bring those questions on Sunday. Divide by negative 6. Excellent. Yes. So we're going to divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. This cancels, and we get y equals, so we have 8 divided by negative 6. This is a problem. Because whenever you have an even over an even, that means it's not simplified. So we're going to have to simplify this. Does anybody know what numbers they both have in common? Thank you, Aguilera. Thank you, I am. 2. Wonderful. Yes. So we could divide this by 2 and we could divide this by 2. So we get negative 4 over 6 divided by 2 is 3. And see how this equation, this slope, is the same as this slope. And I saw it in the comments. Pesto said it. They are parallel. Yes, these are parallel lines. Okay, because they have the exact same slope. Perfect. All right. Let's jump into some finding x and y intercepts. Woo. Okay. So does anybody know what comment they have, like what number do both the x-intercepts have, or x and y intercepts? What number do they have in common? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? 0. Yes. An intercept has to have a 0. Okay. And the 0 is what's tricky because one is in one place and the other is in the other place. So what do I mean by that? So let's say if I make x equals 0. When you make the x 0, what you have to realize is you're solving for y. And remember, this is function notation. So remember, the f of x is equal to y. Okay, so when I plug in 0, so that's what I'm saying. So when I say x is going to be 0, I'm basically telling myself I'm going to change this x to 0. Okay, so I'm going to write everything the same. So I'm going to put f of x equals negative. I'm going to put 0 here. Okay, plus 2. Okay, thank you so much for the rose. Okay, so now, but it's like, okay, well, 0 times anything is just 0. So really we have f of x is equal to, like, this could just go away and it's just left 2. So y equals 2. Okay, so this, what we just found, okay, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. If y equals 2, what did we find? Did we find the x-intercept or did we find the y-intercept? Which one did we just find by making x equal 0? Does anybody know? Good. Yes. Yes, we found the y-intercept. See, although we put zeros in for x, what we found was the y-intercept. Because if we plotted this on, like, let's just say we had a coordinate plane, right? The y equals 2 would have to go on the y-axis right here. So that's why this is the y-intercept when you make x 0. Okay? Let's talk about when we make the y equal to 0. So if we make y equals 0, remember, we're finding the x-intercept. Okay? So remember, in function notation, what that's telling us is we're plugging 0 in for this whole f of x. So I'm going to replace f of x with 0 equals -8. Oh, what am I getting 8 from? Negative x plus 2, okay? Because this stays the same as negative x, okay? So now I have to solve for negative x. Can anybody tell me, what do I need to do? How can I solve for this x right there? Does anybody know? Subtract 2. I love it. Yes, we're going to take this positive 2 to the other side. Or can I add the x to both sides? Everybody was 100% correct by minus and 2. You guys weren't wrong. I just want to do it in one step. So since I want to do one step, I'm going to actually add the x to both sides. And since this cancels out, then I can get x equals a positive 2. And it is the same, yes, but this is less steps. So let's do it the way that you guys said it. Let me show everybody the difference. So if we did 0 equals negative x plus 2, everybody said let's minus 2. I agree with you guys, okay? So we get 0 minus 2, and we get negative 2 equals a negative x. The problem is we still are not done. Why are we not done? Because we have a negative 1. Yes, Demi said divide by negative 1. 100%. So we would have to divide by a negative 1 here, which is that extra step that we did not have to do here. But it's okay. It still gives us the same. A negative divided by a negative is always a positive. And you get 2 for both of those. So wonderful, wonderful. Yes, there's always multiple ways on how to do this, okay? So x equals 2. So remember, this is going to go on your x-axis, and you will put a point right here. Thank you, Yormid, for the rose. And then we will draw our graph, okay? We'll draw our graph. All right, so let's look at number 2. Thank you, Jay Mueller, for the roses. And just to let everybody know, these lives I do post on my YouTube page. So if you're not in there to get it, or you miss a live, I do post it on my YouTube channel, okay? For those who want to just rewatch it. So no problems, okay? I'm actually a teacher. I teach full time. So, yep, I'm a teacher, and then I sometimes do tutoring when I have time. Yep. All right, so let's see. We want to find some x and y intercepts. What do you guys want to find first? Do you guys want to find the x or the y intercept? You guys tell me which one am I going to make 0 first? Okay, I saw y first, so we're going to make the y equals to 0 first. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to write negative 2x plus 5, and I stop there because what I'm telling myself, I'm plugging in this 0 for the y. And remember, whenever a number is attached to a variable, they're multiplied. That's why I'm putting parentheses there. Okay? Equals 20. But 5 times 0 is just going to, 5 times 0 goes away. So really, well, let me just do it step by step for people that don't understand, okay? So I'm going to drop down my negative 2x. 5 times 0 gets me plus 0 equals 20, okay? But negative 2x plus 0, it's like, this is like, it's not there. So really we end up with negative 2x equals 20. Good. Marissa said divide by negative 2. I love it. Yes, we're going to divide both sides by negative 2, negative 2. This cancels and we get x equals, good user, Emma said negative 10. Oh, Dylan said negative 10. Wonderful. Yes, negative 10. 20 divided by 2 is 10, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So our x-intercept is negative 10. Wonderful. All right, we're not done yet because we only found the x-intercept. We still need to find our y-intercept. So how are we going to find our y-intercept? What do we have to make 0? Can somebody let me know? Plug in 0 into the x. Yes. We're going to make x 0 this time. Okay, so if I make x 0, what I'm telling myself is I'm going to rewrite the equation. Okay, so I always go back to rewriting this equation. So I'm going to put negative 2 parenthesis, because this time I said I'm going to make this 0. Plus, I carry the rest the same. 5y equals 20. All right, well, negative 2 times 0 is just 0 plus 5y equals 20. And then we can like this 0 goes away. Like 0 plus 5y is just 5y equals 20. And then we divide by 5 to both sides, because whenever you have a number attached to a variable, they're multiplied. There's an imaginary multiply. To undo that, we divide, okay? So then we get y equals, good, Leah said 4. Perfect, yes. It is 4. Wonderful. Somebody said put it in the Desmos. I feel it. Look at the graph and read it, right? Great. All right. Somebody said making me miss school. I know. You never realize like how much like you kind of enjoy school when you're out of it and you got to become an adult and do adult things. It's like all the freedom of just being able just to learn different things. I think if I could go back in time, that's what I would like try to convince myself. Enjoy learning. Because you actually have the time when you're a teenager to enjoy learning and not have the responsibilities. Man, that's powerful. And I wish my kids could understand that. I work at a Title I, and it's like I know like most of them are adults way sooner than their age. They have way more responsibilities. But it's like, man, if you could just understand, you'll never get this time to just be able to learn without responsibility. Or they have responsibility but not like full. You guys, if you guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, that's what I miss, the freedom to learn. Oh, SK, I hope you find that one person that just makes it click for you. All right, so find slopes and state if the line's parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay, does anybody know the slope formula? Does anybody know the slope formula when we're given 2 points? Does anybody know? Yes, Jonathan. Jonathan, I think I'm gonna start doing pre-calc here in like 2 weeks. I just gotta get some things ordered. Y equals mx plus b, y minus y. Perfect. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Yes, this is our slope formula. And so what I always tell my students to do is right away label those points. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. So now let's actually fill this bad boy in. Okay. So we have, I labeled negative 24 as a y2. So I'm going to put negative 24. My formula says minus, so I'm going to do minus. And then my y1, I said was 6. So what you're doing is you're taking your y's and you're minusing them from each other. That's how we got this, okay? Then we take our bottoms, which is our x's. Okay, so I'm going to take my x2, which is 3, minus my x1, which is 0. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Can somebody tell me what we get on the top here? What's negative 24 minus 6? What do you say? Negative 30. Raven, Julian, yes. Thank you, Savage, for the rose. So we get negative 30. Good. And then what's 3 minus 0? 3 minus 0 is 3. Perfect. Good. So Leave said negative 10 is the answer. Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Denise, for the roses, for the finger. So we get negative 30 over 3 is negative 10. So that's our slope for this line 1, okay? So line 1 has m equals a negative 10. All right, perfect, perfect. Now let's find our slope for the line 2. So we have an x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so I'm going to set this up. M equals. Can somebody in the chat give us our first? What's the top going to look like? Does anybody know? Negative 71 minus 19. Negative 71 minus 11. Negative 71. Good. Minus 19. Perfect. Fantastic. Yes. No, you are not. Don't say that. No. And then x2 is 8. And then we have a minus. And this is where a lot of people make mistakes. This is like a real catch. Is it 8 minus 1? Or is it 8 minus a negative 1? Yes. And this is what gets people tripped up all the time. Remember, this minus is a part of our formula. Oh, did I write our formula? No, silly me. That's why people are confused. So y2, oh yeah, I wrote it right here. So this minus is here, but the x1 is the negative 1 right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do negative 71 minus 19. Ooh, where's the calculator when you need one, huh? Let's see. So let me get this handy dandy. So negative 71 minus 19 is going to give us negative 90. Okay, so we get negative 90. And then a negative and a negative always is a positive. So 8 plus 1 gets us a 9. And then negative 90 divided by 9 is negative 10. So, what is this? What are these slopes? Are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? What do you guys say? Ooh, I got perpendicular, parallel, parallel, parallel. Okay, good. Yes, parallel. Okay, so they are parallel. Okay, they are parallel because they're the exact same. Okay, so they're parallel when they are the exact same. All right, wonderful, wonderful. All right, so let's jump in. Oh, okay. So we're going to do some writing equations. And then after that, we're going to do some graphing, practice some real live graphing, okay, with functions. All right, so it says, write an equation for a line parallel to g of x equals 3x minus 1 and passing through this point. Okay. Oh, somebody said, can you go back, please? Yes, I can go back. There you go. I went back. Were you trying to take a screenshot? Okay. Yeah, you're so welcome. All right, I hope you got it. Oh, thank you, Edwards, for subscribing. Welcome to the Pack family. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the support. So I did want to let you know for my Pack family, my subscribers, I will be going live this Sunday. And any topic that you want me to cover that I know, but ask anything because I'm pretty I can go all the way up to calculus. But ask anything and we're going to work it out and I'll make up the problems and we'll do it. So Sunday, be on the lookout for that. Thank you for my subscribing and supporting me. And thank you so much for all the follows, the double chats, the double taps. I really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So yes, I do tutor. Yep, I do tutor. My time is limited though because I am a full-time teacher and I got 3 babies. Okay, so I only have a little bit of time, but yeah. Yep. Yep. Ooh, somebody said ASVAB for Sunday. It just all depends on what my subscribers want me to cover. If I have time to do 2 lives, I for sure got you. Do you have your ASVAB test coming up? If you have your ASVAB test coming up, let me know. Okay. All right, so let's work on this one. Okay. So write an equation for a line parallel to g of x, 3x. Okay. So when we're trying to write a parallel line, what we want is, remember, well, parallel lines have the same slope. Okay. So our step 1, okay, I'm going to write each step out. Step 1, identify the m from the given equation or given function, okay? So our m here is m equals 3, okay? That's our very first step. Now our step 2, this is what I saw some people put it in the chat, which is really good. Whenever we want to write an equation, we have to use y equals mx plus b. So we use y equals mx plus b to solve for the b, okay? Now, some people might be like, what? Okay, but they gave us a point right here, okay? So they gave us an x and a y, and they also gave us an m. So we're going to plug in this 9 for the y. We're going to plug in this 4 for the x. And we have our m, which is 3, which is right here. So we're going to plug in 9 for y, our m, which is 3, times our x, which is 4. And we're going to drop down our plus b. Okay, let me slow down. Let me slow down. Oh, some people said I thought it was y equals mx plus c. I've always learned it, and I'm in the United States, so some other countries might be using different letters, but what B stands for is the y-intercept. Okay, so if you learned it C, and as long as it's for the y-intercept, then we're talking about it's the same thing. Okay, all right. Okay, good. So now, how do we solve for B? Can somebody tell me? How do we solve for B? What do we have to do first? Times. Good. Yes, we have to do this first. So 3 times 4 is 12. Then you just drop down everything else. Plus B equals 9. All right. We want our, good, I just saw it in the chat. Good, because I was going to say, how do we get B by itself? We have to, do we divide or do we subtract? This is a positive, so we have to do the opposite and we have to subtract. Remember, we can only divide if these two are multiplied together. Okay, that undoes, but we can't do that. Okay, so I hope that makes sense why we are not dividing here, because these are not multiplied. All right, so 9 minus 12 gives us a -3 equals B. Perfect. Now we're so close to being done. It's like, whew, we're almost there, right? We have our B and we have our M. Now we just got to write our equation. How do we write the equation? Can anybody tell me? Somebody asked what grade this is. They do this in college algebra. They do this in algebra 2. They do this in algebra 1 and geometry. This parallel lines is in every subject, really. Yeah, some people do it in 9th grade. Some people do it in 10th grade. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you're learning this. Good. Okay, so y equals 3x minus 3. Perfect. Yes. Y equals, remember I'm writing my m, which is 3. What goes next to the m? X. Well, then we write our b, minus 3. Thank you so much for the rose. And this equation is parallel to this equation. I guess I should have put a function. I guess I truly should have wrote it. Oh, thank you so much for the rose. I should have wrote it in like function notation. But it's the same. Okay, it's the same. So this equation is parallel to this because they both have the same slope. Okay. Thank you, Denise. All right, let's try this one, you guys. Let's try this one. Okay, it says write an equation for a line perpendicular. Ooh, this is a little tricky. Okay, perpendicular to this equation passing through this point. Now, this word right here changes everything, because our first step 1 is we first have to identify the slope, okay? So we're going to identify the slope. Okay. So can somebody tell me what's the slope from the equation given? What's the slope from the equation given? Can you guys tell me what's the slope that we're looking at? Ooh, I see people putting it in there. Okay, so it is 3. Good. Okay, so that's the very first step. Just identify the slope. But remember, we're doing perpendicular. So we want to not do parallel. We don't want the same slope. We want the perpendicular slope. So if this is a positive, this one has to be a negative. Oh, I see those reciprocals coming in. Yes, This one has to be a negative. And then how do we do the reciprocal of 3? How do we do the reciprocal of 3? Does anybody know? 1/3. Abby, 100% girl or guy or whatever you want to be called. Yes, yes, yes. 1/3. Okay, so we put this over 1 because every whole number can be over 1. And so what we would end up doing is we would end up flipping this and we get 1/3. Yep. And so our perpendicular slope is -1/3. Perfect. That's our first step, which is a little bit more intense than here. Our step 2 is the exact same. Okay. We're going to use this y equals mx plus b to solve for b. Okay. We have our x and our y. So, and we're going to have so we're going to do the exact same thing that we did up here. So we're going to plug in our x, which is 3, for here. We're going to plug in our y, our m, which we're using this one for right here. And we're doing our y, which is 1. And this is going right here. So hopefully the color coding is like helping you with the plugging in. Or hopefully you're seeing it. So we put 1 in place of y. I'm dropping down my equals. My m is going to be -1/3. Okay. And I'm timesing that by my x, which is 3, plus b. All right. Okay. What is a -1/3 of a third? And it's like, what? Right? Some people like, what did she just ask? But this is how I want you to always think about this. Good. -1, -1. Those negative ones are coming in. Yes. But for those who are not looking at it, basically what you're going to say when you see something like this is you're saying, what's 3 divided by 3? What is 3 divided by 3? 3 divided by 3 is a 1, but then we have this negative here. Okay, so how you look at these is they're dividing. So 3 divided by 3 cancels, and you're left with -1. Yep, they cancel out. And so we have this 1 here plus b. Now, what's our last step? How do we get b by itself? Hannah, I see you. Yes. Abby, I see you. You're a girly. Yes. Add 1. Taylor, thank you. Yes, we add 1 to both sides. So this cancels and we get b equals 2. Wonderful. So now we have our b and we have our m. How do we write our equation? Y equals, write that m, -1/3. And what letter always goes next to the m? X plus R2. And this equation is perpendicular to this equation right here. They're perpendicular. Wonderful. Whew. That was some hard stuff, you guys. This is very intense because it takes 1,001 steps. And it's all about like, oh, what does perpendicular mean? How do we flip this? Plug it in. But we did it. Great job, you guys. Great job. All right, let's get to some graphing. Okay? Y'all, I am too pumped for a Friday night. You like, what in the world? I know, but you got to be pumped when you're doing this math, okay? Else it's like, why do it? So we got to be pumped. We got to be having our flowing. Yes, I am a teacher. You could already see it's Friday. I'm too excited though. Weekend is here. Oh, can you please go back, take a screenshot? Yes, I can. There you guys go. And again, remember, I always post these lives on my YouTube channel, just for people that need more time to like go back, take your time and want to pause it, try a problem. Yep. So, thank you guys for the beautiful comments. Okay, so let's actually try to, let's try to graph here. Okay, let's try to graph here. Thank you, Al, for the rose. So, how did you guys, when you're given slope intercept form here, did your teacher tell you about like looking at the M, identifying the M and the B when you graph? Start at -1. Lewis, yes. So I always tell my students, identify the M and the B first, okay? So our B is a number that is not attached to the X, okay? So it's -1. And remember, the B stands for the y-intercept. And if you can understand this is the y-intercept, hopefully it helps you know which line to go on. Because if you connect the y-intercept, remember the y-intercept has to go on the y-axis. So I'm looking for -1 on the y-axis, which is right here. Now, again, my M is always attached to the X. So this -2 is my M. Now, remember, a M is called a rise. Let's go over this. M is rise over run. So when I'm given a whole number, I always want to make my slope into a fraction. And what number can I put under here? Does anybody know? Like, what number can I put underneath that -2? 1. I love it. Yes, you're going to put this 1. Perfect. So now, since this is a -2, what this is telling me is I'm going down 2. And since this is a +1, I'm running to the right 1. And I like to put arrows on my paper so I don't have to think about what am I doing. I look up here. I know I'm going down 2, 1, 2. And then I'm running to the +1. And I put a point. Again, I'm going to do it again. Go down 2. Run to the +1. Down 2, +1. Down 2, +1. And this right here is our line. Now, if we want to get this half, instead of going down 2, we can go the opposite direction. So we're going to go up 2 into the -1. Up 2 into the -1. And then our line would continue. Okay. Good. It's me. I'm glad you're doing it right now. Oh, sorry, Brazil. Where were you when I needed you a week ago? Oh, but hopefully this is going to be on your final and then you'll master it and knock it out the park. Okay. That's what I hope. Yes. Okay. So now let's look at this one here. Okay. So always identify your M and your B. Okay. Yep, you're so welcome. Okay, so which one is our M and which one is our B? Yep, we're going to do this one right here, number 2. Okay, -3 is M. Perfect. So our M is -3 over 1. Good. And then the B is the 2. Perfect. Remember what that B means? It's the y-intercept. What does y-intercept mean? Well, I have to look on the y-axis. So let me do a different color because I don't want to get it. Let's do a different color because we're going to work on this one. So we're going to look at 2 on the y. So that's my point right there. And from this 2, I'm going to draw my thing. What am I actually doing? Well, I'm falling 3, and then I'm going to the +1. So from here, from this point here, my first point, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 over to the positive 1. Okay. Then go 1, 2, 3 over to the positive 1. And then 1, 2, 3 over to the positive 1. Ooh, they intersect right there. And then go down 3 over 1. So here, okay, right here. Oh, if somebody's doing systems, somebody tell me the solution for these two problems. Does anybody know systems? What would be our answer? If this was systems, if we were doing systems, what would be our solution? Does anybody know? Anybody know about? Ooh, they got a couple of people in here about systems. Yes. It would be 3, -7. Yes, they intersect at 3, -7. I love it. Yes. Wonderful, you guys. And then go up. All right, perfect. All right, let's do a couple of more. Let's do a couple of more. All right, let's keep on practicing. So we have to first identify what is the M and what is the B. Okay. So somebody tell me, what is the B? What is our y-intercept? Two. Perfect. 2 is our B. So I'm going to look on here and I'm going to first put a point at 2 on my y. Oh, somebody said, please show the previous one. Oh, sorry. Yes, I will show the previous one. Sorry, am I turning too fast, you guys? I'm sorry. Okay, there you go. If you need to get a screenshot real quick. Oh, somebody said, why is it 2? Good, let's talk about that. Why is it 2? Good, I hope you got it. Okay. So why is the question? Why is the B 2? Well, it goes back to this form. Y equals mx plus b. And so the number that doesn't have a letter next to it is always called your y-intercept because this is slope-intercept form. And then the m is always attached to the x. So that's why this m is 1/3, which is the slope. Okay, it's the rate. Yep. So m is the slope, which stands for rise over run. Okay. So here we will be, okay. So what are we doing here? Usually we've been falling, but this time we're rising up. And since it's a positive 3, we're running to the right 3. So from here, I'm going to go up 1, over 1, 2, 3, put a point. I'm going to do it again. Up 1, over 1, 2, 3, put a point. Up 1, over 3. Okay. Now, from here, if I want to get this half, I have to go the opposite of this. So instead of going up, I'm going to go down. And instead of going to the right, I'm going to the left 3. And I put a point. Down and to the left 3. And then here, I should ask you guys a question. And I got a math. This is my math teacher brain coming in. Okay, so let's say we have this. Can somebody tell me what is the x-intercept? What is the x-intercept on this graph? Does anybody know? -6, -6. Yes. Remember, the x-intercept is where does it hit the x-axis? And it hits it at -6. Perfect, you guys. Wonderful. Yes. Okay. So now let's graph this one. Okay. So I'm going to switch. So we have M equals and our B equals. Okay. Yeah. So welcome. Yep. Okay. So we have our B, which is -3. Okay. And remember, this is going to be on the y-intercept. Okay. So we're going to look on the y-axis, and we're going to put a point at -3. Now, my slope says 2 over 3. But what is my slope? It's rise. So I know I'm going up 2, and I'm running to the +3. So from here, I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, and to the +3. Put a point. Go up 2, 1, 2, over 3, and put a point. Okay, let's see if they're going to intersect. So, like if we could see, we know they're going to intersect, but like where? So up 2 over 3. We're not going to be able to see it. Then up 2 over, and then it goes off. So here, so let's see if I was doing this, boom, boom. Somewhere over here, if we kept this line going, they will connect somewhere out there. But if I want to get this half, we just flip every sign. So instead of going up 2, what's the opposite direction? I go down 2. And then flip this sign, instead of going to the right, I'm going to go to the left 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Put a point. Down 2, opposite to the right. Opposite of the right, to the left. Okay. And this, of course, doesn't help if you, like I struggle with my left and right, so I always have to do this. You guys, even when I'm driving, I'd be like, left, which one is left? Does anybody else do that? Like do the L thing when you're turning left or right, or does everybody just know they're left or right? And I'm the sad one. Oh, no. Okay, good. Some people else, I do. Okay, perfect. At least I'm not the only one. I know. My husband be like, your other left. No, your other left. Go left. When we're driving, I'll be like, oops, my bad. Perfect, you guys. All right. So let me see. All right. So I am going to call it a night. I have to go pick up my kids. But thank you so much for joining me and rocking with me Friday night. I will be on here on Sunday for sure. I'm going to be going. I might go live twice, but for sure once for my subscribers. And so bring those questions. And thank you. Have a wonderful night. And be blessed. All right. Bye, you guys.